If you had the system, what would you do with it? I want you to think about that during this video, and by the end of it, you're gonna feel better about yourself. Because there's something we're not really allowed to talk about, and it's potentially part of why you likely love this show so much and felt so inspired by it. So if you clicked on this video, you're probably in one of two groups. One is that you just watch everything I post, and if that's you, I appreciate it, bro. But the other is that you watch solo leveling, found it really hyper motivating, and want to know what to do with that motivation. And the first thing I want to say is that if you feel like you relate to him in the beginning, where he's powerless, he's not respected, he's got this goal in his mind that he can't reach, in his case it's to provide for his family. But whatever it is for you, you're definitely not alone. There's a reason so many people love this show for that exact same reason. And it's because, honestly, people aren't as different as you think. You know, you're mostly the same as most other people. And if you do the same things as them, you'll end up mostly like them. Obviously in the show, he has the system, and he's the only one in the world who can improve as a hunter. But in reality, that's just not the case. You're not the one unique human on the planet who can't get better at anything. You really need to give yourself more credit if you think, oh, I just can't improve at all at this. Like, it's just not true. And on the topic of not giving yourself enough credit, you're probably not aiming high enough. If you feel like an E rank right now, to use the same system as the series, if the goal you have in mind is just to get to C rank, it's really not that motivating. So whatever the equivalent of what C rank is for whatever you're aiming for, it's probably not enticing enough to make you want to put in all the work needed for it. Reaching it won't really excite you, and so even though it's not as much work to get there, you're likely not going to want to do it. I spoke about this in all my Blue Lock videos, but when you see Jin Woo able to fight these goblins, like, it's cool, but it's not nearly as exciting as when he's able to stand up to these B ranks. And then of course, I won't go into any spoilers, but obviously he gets stronger and stronger as he gets further on in the series, and it becomes more and more hype and exciting to see. People criticize the show for being quite a almost corny power fantasy, and honestly they're not completely wrong, but who cares? When these moments happen in real life, and you suddenly realize your practice paid off, and the people who doubted you can't continue to deny where you've reached, it's amazing. And reaching a level where that happens, reaching a high level, that's worth all the work needed for it. And obviously the higher you aim, the longer it's going to take to get there, right? But it's important to acknowledge that, because even Jin Woo can't jump from E rank to S rank immediately. It takes him time. But what happens with a lot of people is they don't respect the fact that they have to go through these lower levels. You can't jump from level 1 to level 100 without passing through level 2. Yeah, there's no magic advice that's going to instantly jump you up levels. If you're looking for that in any of my videos, you won't find it. Likewise, if you're hoping I'll say something that will just keep you motivated or disciplined forever, it just doesn't exist. You know, it takes time. And obviously it's frustrating when you're surrounded by people who are doing way better at whatever it is you want to do, which I'll come back to, but nothing you do will let you immediately jump up to that level. We see constantly, every single time Jin Woo wants to improve, he has to go and train, to practice. He can't get better without going through that and getting XP, because no one can. And so it really shouldn't be frustrating or off-putting when you start something new and you suck at it. Like, obviously you do, man. You've never even tried to improve it until now. And that includes things like consistency, too. On your first try at something, you're not going to manage to do it 365 times that year. You have to build that up too. And this is obvious for some things, like no one expects to just turn up to the gym and lift 200 kilograms on day one. But the classic example would be meditating. Of course you can't just sit down and meditate the first time and your mind is completely blank the whole time. That doesn't mean you can't meditate. It just means you're level 1 at it. Or social skills and confidence. Like, maybe you're like when I was younger, this is a bit embarrassing, I would watch those like quite lame videos on how to be more confident, and I memorize all the tips so that next time I went to talk to people, I'd be super confident. And then obviously it doesn't work, so I got frustrated when I was still awkward. But it sounds so obvious. Yeah, we all forget it so easily that the only way is through practice. the very essence of this series is just getting that little bit better each time, and eventually it all adds up. Jin Woo has to fight increasingly strong monsters, and maybe for the example of improving your social skills or whatever, you just make eye contact with everyone you walk past. Then once that gets too easy and it's too slow to keep leveling up that way, you start saying hello to them as well, and then maybe have a conversation with a stranger after that, and so on. You can obviously change and apply that to whatever you had in mind, but I'd only focus on one, maybe two areas at a time, because honestly, in my experience, whenever I've tried to do more than one, certainly more than two, it just doesn't really work very well. But going back to that point earlier, where you feel like you're surrounded by people who are way better than you. If that's you, either you're just starting out, which we've covered, or if you've been doing it a while and you've got pretty good about it and you still feel bad about yourself when it comes to this area, I probably know why you still do. So when you watch this show, and certainly if you've read the manga or manhwa, there's a lot of focus on the S ranks, right? And obviously they're the ones you remember, and of course the show focuses more on them because there's fewer of them. But what's really interesting is only 0.001% are even hunters. E-rank Jin Woo was already phenomenal, and what's more is only 0.0002 are C rank or above. So 80% of hunters are D or E rank. Even a B rank is pretty incredible, but that's not what I want to talk about. I'm ranting a bit here. The point is, if you have that problem I mentioned where you're actually starting to do pretty good at something, but still feel as though you're not to the point where it really gets you down, you probably just spend too much time online. Because the way these algorithms work, those S ranks, which make up a tiny percent of the world, will make up your entire feed. And so you'll think that everyone is doing better than you. I remember this used to really mess with my head a few years back, you know. I'd be doing pretty well, but because I'd scroll through and see so many people doing better than me, or allegedly doing better because obviously people aren't always honest, I felt terrible about myself. And as soon as I stopped looking at that kind of content, I felt way better. Anyway, that wasn't too related to solo leveling, but I think it's something that's really important to say. And then there's that last part that we're not really supposed to talk about, but I know for a fact, if I'd seen this series when I was 10 years younger, the scene where the girls were admiring him would have motivated the hell out of me. And you've probably heard and maybe even said before, you know, don't do it for girls, or I'm doing it for myself. But I remember what it was like. If I go back to when I was younger, so I'm 24 now, but if I go back to when I was a teenager, I remember how awful it feels to be kind of invisible to girls. It really does mess with your head and self-esteem. And once that changed, I honestly did feel better about myself. And so whilst I don't think you should do anything for girls, it's fine if that's a part of what motivates you. You know, having a good social and romantic life makes a huge difference to our self-worth. A lot of people you've seen online, probably including some of the ones you've seen, will say otherwise, but I'm sure just hearing me say that, you realize that what I'm saying is true. Now, I still don't think that you should make that your sole reason for doing anything, because the irony is, once that does change for you, you realize on its own it doesn't actually do much for you. It's more all the things you did to improve yourself, but it's honestly fine if that's part of what motivates you. It's one of our very core desires as humans. But anyway, the reason I talk about this is because, as I said earlier, the criticisms of the show being a corny power fantasy aren't wrong, to be honest. But that just shows that it's something a lot of guys clearly wish they had. They wish they were more competent at something, more respected, and that they had this clear path. Do this, get better at it. Those are all very reasonable and reachable things to want. And I hope if you've made it this far, you realize that it really is doable. Just by making it to this point in the video, you've already got a better attention span than the vast majority of people, let's be real. And so to go back to that question at the start, what would you do if you had the system? Well, you already have it. So you're not going to waste it, right? Thanks for watching as always. Obviously a little different to the usual series I cover, but hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. Much more to say for this one. I have a new video out next weekend, so I'll see you then. Have a great day.